All right. I think, yeah, I should be hearable. This is probably our last time in this room. You can see my bookshelf is all wrapped up, but I have some Valentine's Day, Happy Valentine's Day decorations on it. I didn't want to do this tomorrow because it's actually Valentine's Day and you guys have stuff to do on that day. So I've got a light that's hopefully going to be following us into the new studio. We've got the hearts, saran wrap all over it. I'm sorry. We're in the middle of trying to get all of that out of here. Old bookshelf broken down. There's some Christmas lights on it. There's boxes and things everywhere. So hopefully that'll all be done soon. My desk was a mess, but I didn't notice this before. What is that? It says, dearest something on it. I don't know whose it is, but it looks like a Valentine's Day thing. Should I open it? It's probably mine. It probably is, because it's on my desk. Well, I mean, I guess we might as well. Oh, actually, this... Hang on a second. Yep. I wonder how this got here. Okay, so this is a... It looks like, guys, we are in the presence of... It looks like it's from the 17th century. It's very, very reminiscent of the handwriting style and typography of the time. Maybe I would say early 1600s Britain. And it looks like it's addressed to Gail Riplinger. It's really weird. Do you want me to read it to you? It's nothing, it's Valentine's Day. It's nothing, too weird. But it's okay. Well, I mean, I'm already in enough trouble with her as it is. And it's also technically a federal offense, but this is pretend, so it's not. So it says, dearest Gail, Lucifer is not Satan. And then it says it's from a secret admirer. I wonder who that secret admirer would be. I've got two people in mind right now. I've only got two people that I think that would send a note like this to Gail. It says, again, for those of you that missed it, dearest Gail, Lucifer is not Satan. Love, a secret admirer. Well, between you and me, I've got a couple of ideas of who it might be. So there's two people that I happen to be aware of that do not think Satan is Lucifer. And Lucifer is not Satan, and vice versa. However, I would like to, kind of qualify that, because they sort of did, sort of didn't. I believe this is a public stream, I think. We got one person. That's okay. Hey, if you're getting some value out of this so far, or if you're looking forward to it, share it, like it, all that stuff. If you're not subscribed, go right ahead. So, I'll give you guys my two most likely perpetrators of this note. And we'll probably leave it at that. And then I want to take you guys through our upcoming Lucifer page, which is still in the works. And also some of the things that Gail Riplinger has said about Lucifer, which are not true. So we'll get into that today. My name is Joseph Armstrong, and welcome to the Bible Version Conspiracy. I was hoping, and this is why I'm a little bit late. First was kids and everything else. But then I wanted to play some music that didn't end up working out. It was by George Michael. I think it's called Careless Whisper or Careless Whisperer, you know. You know, all that. And I was going to play that while we had hang on, is this going to let me? My laptop, as usual, hates me right now. I'm trying to have a few different tabs open at a time and click buttons too. So I wanted to have that music playing for this. Now that droplet is not falling from my logo. I know it kind of looks like that, but it's not. So let's get rid of that. So, you know, that just would be perfect. I so wish I had gotten that downloaded, but my downloaders are not cooperating, so less than perfect. Maybe next year. Valentine's comes once a year, right? So, let's see. Yes, Careless Whisper, 1984. Oh, and a perfect year for it, too. Right along with the genre of conspiracy. George Orwell year, 1984. So thank you, Charles, for tuning in. It's awesome to have you here. And I see there are 2 other people. That's awesome, too. So in case you missed it, and you're just tuning in, I found on my desk, and I didn't recognize the handwriting, so I didn't know who it was to, a note, and I'm already in enough trouble with Gail as it is, from the 1600s, apparently, judging by the stark whiteness of the copy paper. In the handwriting, it says, "Dearest Gail, Satan is not Lucifer. Lucifer is not Satan." And it's from a secret admirer. So we'll have to ship that off to Gail as soon as we get a chance. Maybe I really should. It'd be kind of hilarious. Let me know if you think I should share, if I should actually send this to Gail, because, you know, we have mailed things to each other before. So anyways, I'll show you the secret admirer. I personally think that it's one of 2 people. And I'll explain why. These are 2 of Gail's favorite people in the world, but they're dead. And she quotes them over and over and over and over again in one book that she wrote. That book was In Awe of Thy Word. I don't have my copy of In Awe of Thy Word. It's out in a reusable shopping bag in our shed while we break down everything in here. That's why the bookshelf's down there, and this bookshelf's wrapped up in stuff. But there's candy hearts, so it makes it okay. So let me share my screen. It's easiest to do this with 2 monitors. Yeah, you got that right. And I was going to share systems audio and play Careless Whisper on on my laptop, but when I went to play it and I was listening to it on my hang on, computer. We are saving up for a new one. That would be awesome. We'll also need it if we eventually go freelance as a graphic designer, which I hope maybe someday to do. It would help us with our ministry needs and production needs and stuff. So if you like what we're doing, consider chipping in. I think we almost have $100 in that. It's on buymeacoffee.com/Joseph Armstrong in our wish list. And you can see that on our Join Our Mission tab, I believe it is, on our website. And there's several different ways that you guys can support us on that tab. Very easy. Most of the options are free and don't cost you anything. Maybe we'll look at those later. So this website is under construction, as you can see and as you'll notice. As we look at it, because my typos are awful. Gail really didn't give me any grace when she saw that my Shepherd of Hermas page had shepherd spelled shepherd instead of sheep herd or shepherd. So yeah, never said I'm a champion speller. Never claimed it. But the thing is that when it comes to looking at the matters that Gail addresses, being a good speller is not your prerequisite to finding out that she lied. So, Lucifer, who? Venus, light bearer, Lucifer, day star, morning star, shining one. What do those words all have to do with one another? A whole awful lot, as you'll find out as we go through this page. So I'm not going to take time to go through the introduction of it. The table of contents, I'm still building. Just press play shows the two different playlists that we're putting together of Lucifer related content. This one's a collection we're putting together of everything, and then these ones are going to have my personal videos. Who or what fell from heaven? And there's at least 4 different views that I've pinpointed. A popular one, a more studied one, a King James only one, and a satanic one. So we'll look at those on this page. I'll be perfectly clear in this section. Let's try to scroll all the way down. I've got articles galore from KJV Critical, and just KJV only critical people and King James only people together. And there's going to be a lot of information on this page. There is no information that's legitimate. There's no information that is important but illegitimate, kind of like Gail's books. That I'm afraid to put on this. So everything is going on it. There's a lot of work we're putting into this. So we're going to go through, like I said, some of Gail's works in her book, in her books that she has said about Lucifer, especially this one. This one's just heinous. From In Awe of Thy Word, page 966. Come on, scroll. I'm toying with a lot of different titles. There's a lot of repetition going on. This is showing you guys the context of different Bibles and such and what they say. The Darby translation, American Standard, blah, 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 blah. And then we get into ancient church fathers, what they said about the passage. It seems that the idea that the passage is talking about Satan is very, 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 very early. But I'm not prepared to say how early. But the thing is that all the way back then and all the way up until the time when the King James Bible was translated, people had an understanding of that word that we don't have today. It's not popular. Here we go. This is Secret Admirer number 1. And I put 1597 because that's when the printed edition that I have was printed. 1597. This is, in case you don't recognize his face, this is a painting of King James I of England wearing the jewel called the Three Brothers in his hat after John de Kurtz, or Kritz, circa 1605. And this is from Someplace Museum, Wien, and that's from World History Encyclopedia. And I'll tell you why this guy is my first and primary suspect for being Gail's secret admirer. First of all, the card, the letter, the envelope, everything about this screams, what did I say? 1597. It's just the paper, the ink, the handwriting, the 8.5 by 11 format size, everything screams the time period. Now, you may not notice that. You may just think, "Oh, Joseph, that's just a plain old piece of copy paper. I could grab you a whole ream of it in 5 seconds out of my office." It might appear that way, but to the untrained eye, but to people that know things about this kind of stuff, you know that there's something more to this, for sure, for sure. And then there's no way that I printed it off like 15 minutes before I pushed recording here. Anyways, the reason why I think that King James is one of my prime suspects is because he did not believe Lucifer was Satan. Now, if you listen to Gail Riplinger, those of you familiar with her work, and we'll get into more of this as we go on, she has said hundreds of times that if you translate Lucifer in Isaiah 14:12, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cast down to the ground, which sits weak in the nations?" If you translate Lucifer as day star, morning star, shining one, any of these, you're a modern version, and this modern version is trying to lead people to accept the Antichrist and deny Jesus, and basically Jesus Christ is called the day star and the shining one, or no, the day star and the morning star in the New Testament. I believe it was 3 times, and in what is it, 1st or 2nd Peter and Revelation. And since you might translate Lucifer as morning star or day star, now you're in trouble, because the morning star is Jesus Christ. Now, it's a fact. Let me see if I can actually pull that up for you. I don't think in all of thy word is going to cooperate this quickly, but you never know. It may. It's not going to. So in an awe of thy word, Gail says that the day star is Jesus Christ. And she leaves it at that, which is, I think, very shallow and unaware of, basically history, kind of like she seems to be when it suits her. She knows an awful lot more history than I do in a lot of different areas. But you know what? When it contradicts what she is saying, she ignores it, and that means that her readership is also not going to see it, which is very, very sad. So we're going to go to Lucifer. Come on down. Yeah, these pages aren't going to load incredibly quickly either. Whatever. Okay, so I'll show you the evidence and the proof later on. If it allows me to... It's starting to catch up. See? Look at that. Oh, apparently Lucifer is one of the evil words we inherited from Latin. Oh boy. That's not one-sided. Anyways. Okay, so yep. Wycliffe said the popes were the damned limbs of Lucifer. Thomas Edison, Luciferian. Here we go. In pagan Roman mythology, Lucifer was vaunted as the day star, Christ himself. Okay, so here's what Gail started with at the very beginning of, before she even wrote New Age Bible version. She started with the assumption that Lucifer equals Satan only, and day star equals Christ only. Morning star also equals Christ only. It's hilarious because it's just totally not true. So when she says that the day star, Christ himself, is there, okay, so if you have a new version that translates Lucifer as day star or morning star, like your NIV, your NASB, anything like that, you have a version that's trying to teach you that that passage is Jesus Christ falling from heaven. And that's pretty serious, because that means that all of your friends and all of your family that aren't King James only are all using a Bible that says Jesus is Satan. Gail has said that from the beginning. She has never retracted a word that she ever said about the subject. She has never changed her opinion. She has never changed her mind. She has stayed on that for 30 years, and it wasn't true. Let's take a look at what King James has to say for a little bit of context. Here's a screenshot of the page so you can check it out for yourself. And I'll read it in our typeface so it's a little easier to read for me. This is from a book called The Demonology of King James. It's from 1597, or at least the printing that I have is from then. And it's a dialogue between Philomethes and Epistemon. And it talks about witchcraft. It's basically a study of demonology from a 1700s, early 1700s perspective. And it's in the form of a dialogue. Epistemon basically is the teacher, and Philomethes is the wisdom-hungry person with the all the questions. So Philomethes says, and what makes the spirits have so different names from others? So this is talking about the different names of different devils and all this kind of stuff. So Epistemon replies, and this is fascinating. And by the way, like I said, Gail loves to quote King James. And she does. She loves to quote him. And she quotes from the demonology. She at least mentions the word demonology in and of thy word 13 times from what I saw earlier. She references it probably a couple times less than that, like, you know, an actual quotation from it. But she quotes it freely. But she won't tell you this. Oh, well, King James was just he was just a fallible whatever. Okay, got it. But guess what? King James is apparently influenced by the New Age and is probably trying to teach you that Jesus Christ is Satan, according to Gail. But she's never going to comment on this. She's never going to correct herself. She's never going to do nothing, because she doesn't admit that she's wrong, and she hides from the truth. Yeah, there, I said it. Okay, anyways. Sorry, King James, if you're the guy that, you know, and if you're watching this, King James, I'm really sorry to diss the woman of your dreams, but, you know, it's true. And what makes the spirits have so different names from others? Epistemon. Even the knavery of that same devil. So basically his naughty wickedness, all that. Who, as he deludes the necromancers with innumerable feigned names for him and his angels, as in particular making Satan, Beelzebub, and Lucifer to be three different spirits. And that checks out. There was an interview on the Confessionals by a guy that was like an actual like black magician. He got into it because he had an ability as a child. If he touched something, he automatically knew the history of it. He could tell you where it was, who owned it. You know, it was at such and such thrift shop from, you know, 2005 to 2008, and then it got bought by some old lady and or, you know, whatever else like this. Or, you know, it was made in China. Oh, look, it was made in China. Big surprise. So he could do all this, but he was convinced by his church, his pastor, his parents, that that was demonic. And so he was like, well, all right. And then he was also told by his church that, you know, the enemy is Satan and stuff like this. So he's like, well, I guess I better know my enemy. So he ended up getting involved in Satanism because of all that stuff. And one of the things that he said in the interview is that Satan, Lucifer, and the dragon, I believe he said, they're all different spirits. So that's something that is an actual teaching of witchcraft still today. To be three different spirits, Lucifer to be its own spirit. But we're going to read on and we're going to see that that's not true. Where we find the two former, that would be Satan and Beelzebub, the two former but different names given to the princes of all the rebelling angels by the scriptures. As by Christ, the prince of all the devils is called Beelzebub, in that place which I alleged against the power of any heretics to cast out devils. By John in Revelation, the old tempter is called Satan, the prince of all the evil angels. And last, that would be the third name, Lucifer. Listen to what King James has to say about the word Lucifer. Gail Riplinger. The last, to wit, Lucifer, is but by allegory taken from the day star, capital D, capital S, proper name. Proper name of what? You'll find out later. It's the planet Venus. That little white or yellowish kind of orangey little dot up in the sky. And last to wit, Lucifer is but by allegory taken from the day star, so named in divers places of the scriptures. And I believe that that is because he's talking about the Latin in that case, because Lucifer actually doesn't appear in multiple places in an English Bible, but I don't think. I should check the old translations and see what they say in the other places in the New Testament. That might be interesting to find out. Especially since Gail faults the Vulgate for using Lucifer in all four places, Old Testament and New Testament. Because of his excellence, I mean the prince of them in his creation before his fall. So what King James is saying in this is not that Lucifer was Satan's name. Listen carefully, and we'll leave out the parentheses just for sake of understanding it. And last, to wit, Lucifer is but by allegory taken from the day star because of his excellence in his creation before his fall. So he's saying Satan was allegorically called Lucifer, which is from the day star. So what he's saying is, in English, we call it day star. In Latin, you call it Lucifer. Remember that stream I had, I think it was last week, where I said that Lucifer is not Satan and everybody gets it wrong? King James didn't. You can check that out in the Demonology of King James I, including the original text of the Demonology and News from Scotland from 2011 by Donald Tyson. Or, if you're all, oh, you changed that quote, Joseph, then you can read the actual screen capture of the 75th page of his Demonology, third book. Sorry, bookie. So that was interesting to find. And I also found a few quotes from Lancelot Andrews. I almost said Laugh-a-Lot Andrews. So Lancelot Andrews. I actually found, I think, I found three different King James translators that talked about Lucifer in their works. One of them does not identify him as anything but the evil angel, which would be Thorne. And William Thorne, and George Abbott actually does mention that Saint Gregory that this word, hang on a second, and so is that also, which we find in Saint Gregory, that this word is like the planet or wandering star Venus, which unto some is Lucifer, a bright morning star arising in their hearts. So what he says in this paragraph and in the next page, basically the gist that I got from skimming it, is that Saint Gregory likened the scripture itself to Lucifer. The scripture itself being a savior of life unto life to those who believe. So the rising of, the dawn, Venus being considered the light bearer. Why? Because Venus was the morning star, and it was considered to it came before the sun, like some of the other translators and stuff say. It came before the sun and was considered to bring the light. That's why Venus has the word Lucifer, because it bears the light with it. It transfers yeah, basically it's the light bearer. It brings the light, yes. Now, when you get over into occultism and everything else like this, they corrupt that understanding to say, oh, well, the knowledge and everything was brought by Satan to us in the Garden of Eden. He suffered the damnation of hell for all eternity to bring us secret knowledge and stuff like this, and enlightenment. So that's where they get... That's how they apply the understanding of Lucifer being the light bearer. There's one other guy. Now this is also like the king pointed out here. It is very common. Oh, and also the King James margin, Lucifer, capital L, says in the margin, or O day star. So that's that. And in 1612, in the side note, they put or O day star, STAR, no double RE. So spelling was different from year to year, from page to page, from sentence to sentence, from line to line, from word to word. And here it's capitalized. So, and it also just doesn't really... I mean, it's interesting, but I really don't think that they meant anything by that. I mean, King James himself capitalized the first and last parts of that word, daystar. Oh, and also, and this is because it's the proper name of the planet Venus. We'd capitalize the word Venus, too. And that doesn't mean that we're referring to the Greek goddess. It's because it's the proper name of a heavenly body. This is from the Glossographia by Thomas Blount. I'll try to find a picture of him and slide it in there. 1661, under the entry for LU. Lucifer. I believe that's Latin or lar, I'm not sure. Properly, the star... Hang on a second. You gotta look carefully at this one, because you can see the ink from the other side. I guess the pages must be pretty thin. Properly the star arising before the morning as messenger of daylight, the capital D, day star, but figuratively the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, semicolon. It looks like a semicolon. Yeah, semicolon. An archdevil. So in 1661, 60 years after the publication of the King James Bible, the guy writing this dictionary, the Glossographia, Thomas Blount, which I don't know if Gail references him or not, because that name sounds familiar. Maybe Brian Ross mentioned it. I don't remember. But anywho, this dictionary gives us the definition of Lucifer as day star, and that it's figuratively the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. That means that when you go and read Isaiah 14, and it's written against Nebuchadnezzar, and it's written against... It's not necessarily Nebuchadnezzar, but the king of Babylon, and it's written against Babylon itself, that's what you have going on. That allegory. And King James and the King James translators and people like this saw the association of Satan in there as well, probably mostly because of the influence of Roman Catholicism down through the years. I'm not sure if the view began with Jerome. It may have began with Origen. I have that earlier on the page. I need to look at it specifically. But I believe it also began with Origen. Alexandrian Origen, of course. I've got a lot of different commentators. We've got to scroll. Doodle 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 doo. Oh, John Gill. There he is. This is Secret Admirer number 2. For those of you just turning in, I found a note on my desk, written in a 17th century hand. It just smells of Hampton Court and velvet and all that stuff, royalty. And it says, "Dearest Gail, Lucifer is not Satan. Love, a secret admirer." And we are hypothesizing who it may be. Don't worry, Gail will get this. She might not. She probably doesn't want it. So John Gill, and I forget what year he was in, but this portrait is from 1881, the very year of the Revised Version, New Testament. So he was the preacher in the same church as Charles Spurgeon over 100 years before Charles Spurgeon. Gail Riplinger touts him, or vaunts him if she says that all the time. She loves that word, vaunt, when she doesn't like somebody. I'm not even really sure what it means. I should look it up sometime. So John Gill was, according to Gail Riplinger, Spurgeon's favorite scholar. And she mentions him over and over and over again in Awe of Thy Word. I think at least a few times. And she quotes him mostly because he defended the authenticity of the vowel points on the Hebrew letters that the Masoretes use. I believe they're called the pointing of the Nazarenes or something. I forget. Because in Hebrew, your vowels are a bunch of little dots around your consonants. It just tells you how to pronounce things. So here's his comment from John Gill's exposition of the Bible. This is someone that Gail Riplinger recognized as a fabulous scholar of Hebrew and of the scripture and of history and everything else. But guess what she'll never tell you? She'll never tell you that he taught, cue the death metal music, that Satan is Jesus. No, he didn't. But he what he says, if Gail is right, is exactly what he's saying. But turns out Gail's wrong, because she started with the presupposition that Lucifer equals Satan alone and Daystar equals Jesus alone. And it's just total trash. And it's easy to prove from history. Let me show you. Isaiah 14:12. This is from John Gill's exposition of the Bible. I gotta double check the year. How art thou fallen from heaven? This is not to be understood as the fall of Satan and the apostate angels from their first estate, when they were cast down from heaven to hell, though there may be an allusion to it. See Luke 10:18. But the words are a continuation of the speech of the dead to the king of Babylon, wondering at it as a thing most incredible, that he who seemed to be so established on the throne of his kingdom, which was his heaven, that he should be deposed or fall from it. So the destruction of the Roman pagan emperors is signified by the casting out of the dragon and his angels from heaven, Revelation 12:7-9. Now remember, he's also reformed, very reformed. So he's going to have a little bit of an interesting view of prophecy, especially of how it pertains to Rome. And in like manner, Rome papal, or the Romish Antichrist, will fall from his heaven of outward splendor and happiness, of honor and authority, now possessed by him. He's got a long comment. And some of this could probably get cut out because it's like some footnote stuff, and it may get too bogged down on that, but we'll see. Let me just mute myself real quick. I gotta blow my nose. Did it mute me? Alrighty, it should be better. And we'll get to your guys' comments. I see a whole bunch of them here. I appreciate you coming, Martino Berto, and also my wife is in there. So yes, let's see. We're gonna get back over into the boom. Oh, Lucifer, son of the morning. Alluding to the star Venus, which is the phosphorus or morning star. Dun dun dun. Here's the problem. You take the King James Bible, you read Lucifer in there, it is easy for lots of people to only see Satan. They only see Satan and they miss the entire point of the passage that it's a prophecy against a king of Babylon who's dead now. Maybe there's a secondary application. Maybe there's a, I guess, prequel application of Satan, like John Gill kind of acknowledges that there may be. But he's saying here that Lucifer, the name, is alluding to the star Venus, which is the phosphorus or morning star, which ushers in the light of the morning and shows that day is at hand. By which is meant not Satan, who is never in Scripture called Lucifer, though he was once an angel of light and sometimes transforms himself into one. And the good angels are called morning stars, Job 38:7, and such he and his angels once were, is meant, so not all this stuff, could have really been in parentheses, but the king of Babylon is intended, whose royal glory and majesty as outshining all the rest of the kings of the earth is expressed by those names, and which perhaps were such as he took himself, or were given him by his courtiers. The Targum is, how art thou fallen from on high, who was shining among the sons of men as the star Venus among the stars. And that's from Jarshi, as the Talmud footnote 3 applies it to Nebuchadnezzar, though if any particular person is pointed at, Belshazzar is rather designed the last of the kings of Babylon. And then he talks about Rome in the time of the apostles being a famous shining light, and how it's just not that good anymore. We'll read that just because it's cool. The Church of Rome in the times of the apostles was famous for its light and knowledge. Its faith was spoken of throughout the whole earth, and its bishops or pastors were bright stars in the morning of the gospel dispensation. How art thou cut down to the ground, like a tall tree that is cut down and laid along the ground, and can never rise or flourish more, to which sometimes great monarchs and monarchies are compared. And then stuff, and there's more stuff about Revelation and Belshazzar, and yeah, you guys can read all that. If you go back, you can rewind it, you can play it, you can pause it, you can do all that fancy dancy stuff that you can do with technology these days, because technology is pretty cool. And yeah, besides that, that's Secret Admirer number 2, in my humble opinion. Of course, there are lots of other people that could be possible suspects in the making of this love letter, apparently, to dearest Gail. And I hear you back there. You're trying to accuse me of making it myself. Well, I'll tell you. And in case you're just tuning in, go back and watch it. I've told it like 3 or 4 different times. So yeah, basically, once you get on the Lucifer page right now, if you go to BibleVersionConspiracy.com/Lucifer, you're going to be asked to put in a password. If I remember to, I'll give you the password at the very end, just because you being good and you listen to the whole thing. Maybe, but I'm not sure. Co-conspirators already have it. By the way, if you want to be a co-conspirator, head on over to our website and become a member on the Buy Me a Coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/Joseph Armstrong. There's a link to it at BibleVersionConspiracy.com. Link for that is in the description. And also, while I'm going all the way up to the early translations, I would like to also mention that, actually, no, are the early translations going to help me? Oh, and by the way, here's a meme. Admit Daystar and Star do not have to be in Isaiah 14:12 for Hallel to be translated Daystar, or draw 25. And there's Gail Riplinger. I don't remember if I actually put the footnotes in here or not. Maybe I did. All right, so here's the Geneva Bible, and its footnote and all that stuff. Oh, they were Calvinists. They didn't know what they're talking. They're just talking like everybody else did back then. Okay, this view is not unique to Calvinists. Is not unique to John Calvin, even though he was very derogatory of the idea that Satan was even implied by the passage. The Geneva Bible and everything else says the same thing. So dry up. It's not, oh, the Reformed Calvinists and all this stuff. Sorry. It's not. It's not the case. Everybody recognized this stuff. Everybody that knew anything about it. So, anyways. So this is an actual screenshot, a photograph or what have you, of the 1560 Geneva Bible. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, and cut down to the ground, which didst cast lots upon the nations. And the footnote is over here, I believe. So let me read you what that says in one of our fonts. It says, the main text of the Geneva Bible, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. The following marginal note is appended to the word Lucifer. This is from an article or PDF by Brian Ross, which you guys can check out at his website. And it's called From This Generation Forever, Lesson 219, the AV 1611, examining the marginal notes and, or other notes of interest, Lucifer. The note says, thou that thoughtest thyself glorious. So that's going to be right here, starting with that letter H right there. Thou that thoughtest, it's up here and it's down here. Thou that thoughtest thyself most glorious, and as it were placed in the heaven, for the morning star that goes before the sun is called Lucifer, to whom Nebuchadnezzar is compared. Oh, evil, wicked Satanism, New Age influence in 1560 Geneva Bible. Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. The people in Geneva were running around with their crystals and, yep. Oh, no. They were talking about pagan Rome, because the pagans all thought that Venus was Jesus and everything. You've got to be kidding me. And here's the thing. Lucifer means morning star so much that in the Latin Vulgate, and I believe also in the Old Latin Vulgate, or the Old Latin text, in your versus Isaiah and whatever Peter it was, I forget the exact reference. I think it was First Peter and Revelation. When you have morning star and day star and Lucifer in the King James, guess what you have in every single spot in the Vulgate and in the Old Latin? Gail won't tell you. You have Lucifer in each spot because Lucifer means morning star. It means the planet Venus. That's where it comes from. Today you're told that it was Satan's name before he fell. How does your pastor who went to a seminary and was homeschooled or public schooled or I don't care, whatever schooled, and was born like, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 years ago, how does he know what Satan was called before he fell? That was a long time ago. On another plane from the one that he's walking on or that he's flying to such and such Bible conference in. Plane, get it? So, that's a problem in Gail's theorizing. Here's the other note in a font that I'm not even going to attempt, but you guys can pause it, you can look at it, you can do whatever you want with it. And once we actually drop the page fully and it's more fleshed out and everything, you'll be able to zoom in on it, you'll be able to download it, you'll be able to follow the link to the PDF where Brian Ross has it and everything. And you'll read this. Here's the note in the Matthew Bible by, what was his name? John Rogers, I think his name was. I forget. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, thou fair morning child? So that's where they say get the son of the morning from. Isaiah 14:12. With the following note appended in the margin. He compareth the death, and now this is from Matthew's Bible, which I believe came from, the Tyndale and all this stuff. If you listen to Gail Riplinger, if you read chapter 2 of New Age Bible versions, and that's the end of your education on Lucifer, and what you do is you just basically trust Gail Riplinger with everything that you think from now on. Charles Lawson didn't really do that. This whole thing doesn't necessarily pick to shreds Gail Riplinger's argument, but everything considered, one of the most ill-informed pieces of literature that has ever addressed the question of Lucifer and how to translate it is found in New Age Bible versions. And it's touted today as the most amazing book. It's just not true. And I promoted it for over a decade, and I am sad and disgusted with myself that I never looked into her claims before. I just trusted that she was an honest person, because that's what you have to do. You see all these ellipsis marks and all the claims that she makes. You have to assume that she's an honest person. Sorry, I'm shaking the camera there. I've kind of got to, but anyway, we'll leave that for in a little bit. You have to assume that she's an honest person. I did. You read the document that she made against me, Joseph Armstrong's Secret Stream Exposed. You have to assume she's being honest. And with mine, you have to assume that you can't see the secret streams. Oh, but you can. I made them public just because it shows how dishonest she is. I questioned in my own mind for a long time, is she really this bad? And then she did it to me. Just about everything that she said in the entire, 20-page PDF, everything in there was either exactly the opposite of the truth or some kind of twisting so that it made it come out in her favor. It was revolting and disappointing. And if you want to keep admiring Gail, don't go to the description and click on the playlist called Refuting Joseph Armstrong's Secret Stream Exposed by Gail Riplinger. Don't click on that playlist if you want to keep thinking that Gail is an honest person. He compareth the death of Nebuchadnezzar to the falling of he compareth the death of Nebuchadnezzar to the falling of Lucifer, the morning star, which he calleth the child of the morning, because it appeareth only in the morning. And yes, Lucifer, and then Hesperus or evening star at night, when it appears at night. The meaning is, no such thing ought to have happened unto thee. That in earth was like the morning star, which no man can take out of heaven. Notice that he's on earth, but he's like so solid, and like you can't touch the morning star up in the sky. You can look at it, but that's all you can do. You can shake your bony little fist at it all day long, and nothing's going to happen. He was like that, a man on earth. And he was that solid. Which might be why Christ is called the morning star many times. That in the earth was like the morning star, which no man can take out of heaven. And thou that was so mighty that thou destroyest what people thou wouldest, and unto whom it was a pastime to overthrow nations, hast received such measure against as such measure as thou broughtest. Such a like thing is there in Ezekiel 28 against King Cyrus. So that shows the Matthew's Bible, they had the chapter designations of Ezekiel 28. And again, there's the title of the PDF, and it'll be a clickable link that you guys can follow when you're on the page. If you go right there right now, it is password protected. So far, and the Hermas and Barnabas page is also password protected. Oh, and I thought this was revealing. This is what Wycliffe says. O Lucifer, who risest up early, how thou hast fallen down from heaven, thou who hast wounded the nations, fell down to the ground. Now, to me, Wycliffe is showing that Lucifer, who risest up early, is an exact parallel to rises up early, son of the dawn, son of the morning, child of the morning, child of the dawn. He gets up early, but not just he gets up early, he rises early in the sky because he's talking about the planet Venus, not the goddess Venus. We'll try to twist it all around so it becomes new agey somehow, won't we, Gail? And I'd rather not have to talk about Gail so much. I would really rather not. I don't want... The last thing that I want this channel to be is a channel where I just get on and am critical and blast people and stuff like this. I don't want this to be that kind of channel. I don't. But at the same time, you have to realize, and I have to realize, that this is a very weird situation with Gail Riplinger. Not only did she write the only book pretending to expose a conspiracy behind modern Bible versions, she has also made a lot of people leave their churches, hate their relatives, separate from their literal brothers. Yeah, you know who you are. Just absolutely ridiculous things. Hating other people, just fighting and wasting hours and hours and hours of time online. Like I can testify I did that, and there's many people out there still doing it. She started basically a genre, but it was all, from what I have found so far in digging into her claims for myself, what I'm finding is that everything that she said so far that I have analyzed, some things, okay, basically are true. Some things, and I'll admit that when they come up. But as far as her claims about like Lucifer and the Shepherd of Hermas and the Epistle of Barnabas, and a lot of them by Westcott and Hort, they were downright stinking untrue falsehood lies. And it's very, 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 very sad. Very sad. What I'm going to do for you, I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to go do something real quick, and I'm going to be right back. Play you guys some music. All right, we're back. And like I said, I realize that this channel is... I don't want this channel to be taken over by being critical of Gail Riplinger. I don't. Not at all. But you also got to realize how extensive her writing is. She has written thousands of pages of this stuff. And hundreds and hundreds of pages worth of lies that I've seen myself. Not, let me take that back. No, that's not phrased correctly. There's hundreds of lies that I've seen myself, and I'm sure that the lies that she has spewed would cover hundreds of pages. There's a lot of things that she said that was accurate. There's enough truth, but try verifying her work. It's just very sad. And I've had a couple of interesting things that I found online about me since then. And I've also made some very interesting non-friends that used to be friends, but that's just because I liked Gail Riplinger then. And now that I don't, then it's not. It's fun. Anyway. So, and I apologize for the saran wrap. We're packing this up. Yep, we're unmuted. We're good. So let me... I lost my present screen, so I'll have to bring that back up. And I also need to check out y'all's comments because you guys are commenting, and I love it. So let's share that screen. We're going to do that. We're going to do entire. We're going to do that, and we're going to share. Alrighty. So that was Wycliffe, or Wycliffe, however you want to say. And there's other similar such things. I'm going to be trying to bring in everything that I can of that Gail has written about the subject. I might put that after the King James and modern and translations and history and stuff like this. I'll probably end up putting it all the way down at the bottom, but we shall see. Oh, and she takes it quotes the apostate Dilgich, or whatever his name is, who was admittedly a liberal from what I can see. But basically, a lot of his comments were the same thing as everybody else. So, Gail, seriously, you're gonna call him an apostate mostly for this, and you're, after denying that Lucifer is Satan, and Isaiah 14 describes his fall, Strong's Encyclopedia blasphemously insists that Lucifer is Jesus Christ. Blasphemy! It does. Okay. In a far higher sense, however, the designation Lucifer, whom he believes is the morning star, the designation was applied to him in whom promise and fulfillment entirely correspond, and it is so applied by Jesus that he styles himself the bright and morning star. In a sense, it is the emblem also that all those who are destined to live and reign with him see star. So the idea of the star, I believe it's also used in scripture, talking about us as, I believe we're referred to as stars. I know the angels are for sure, morning stars and all that. But, I mean, really, that is her claiming that is her thinking that Strong's is saying that Jesus is Satan. I can't. It's just too much. That's from Hazardous Materials. Yeah, I would say that at this point about pretty much everything she wrote. In pagan Roman mythology, Lucifer was vaunted as the day star, Christ himself. The Roman Catholic Church continued this myth in their Latin Vulgate Bible by matching the word Lucifer in both Isaiah 14:12 about the devil and 2 Peter 1:19 about Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's get this. That means that anybody who read Latin way back then and read, the Latin Vulgate would get the impression that Satan is Jesus Christ. That is literally what she wants you to think. Okay, so that's why the Roman Catholic Church was so messed up. Or honestly, and we're also talking about the Old Latin. She doesn't tell you what the Old Latin says. Modern versions and lexicons continue this dangerous myth. The word Lucifer means light bearer. The word stat is not in the Hebrew, star. It's hard to see from here with that red text. The word star is not in the Hebrew Old Testament of Isaiah 14:12. It doesn't have to be, because in English we have good old Anglo-Saxon words, Gail, which you spent a good part of this book actually talking about, like bonhaus is what the word in Anglo-Saxon for body. It literally means bone house. Husband, I believe, is also another word. House band, the person that holds the house hold together. Shepherd may be one as well, if I'm not mistaken. Sheep, herd, you herd sheep. It may not be the origin, but that's the gist of an Anglo-Saxon word. And so when you have day star, it's the star that brings the day. It's the star that's associated with morning. Honestly, the word star is not. It doesn't matter. And like my heavily documented meme said, she has to admit. She has a choice. She can either admit that day and star do not have to be in Isaiah 14:12 in order for Hallel to be translated as day star, or she has to draw 25. And I'll tell you what, she's going to draw 25. New versions use the word star. There is not we use the word star. There is not a translation, but an interpretation from lexicons that follow Roman mythology. Blah. That's not true. And King James said the same thing, and so did just about everybody else that I could find. Just so you know, Gail, it's not the exclusive property of liberals and Roman Catholics like you want to make it sound like. It's an absolute lie. The Latin Vulgate says Lucifer in Isaiah 14:12. That's the devil. 2 Peter 1:19. Jesus. That was 2 Peter. Day star. It translates it as Lucifer too. Yeah, okay. Star of the morning. Yeah, morning star. The New American Standard. The New King James says Lucifer, literally day star. And that would be the same as the note in the King James Bible, 1611. Or day star, Gail. Yeah, isn't it fun? ESV says day star and morning star in both passages, though. So you wonder what kind of bizarre occult message they're trying to teach with that one. Anyways, the chart above shows a tiny sample of the thousands upon thousands of identical matches which fuse the new versions, just about all of them, and Roman Catholic Latin Vulgate and the Jehovah's Witness New World Translation. Really? How many different Latin words... How many things did the King James translators take from Jerome, whom they quoted in the translators to the readers? How many different things did they take from the Douay-Rheims translation, Gail? People talk about this all the time, and you're pretending like it's some weird thing that modern versions are linked through this weird occult world to... Oh my goodness. Ugh. Okay. It's just too much. Too much. Absolute ridiculosity. Okay. So I would like to know, now that I'm thinking of it, I'd like to know what Gail says about Lucifer. I think it's here. Yes. I want to see what Gail says about Lucifer in the one PDF that she made about me, because if I'm not mistaken, and by the way, please don't get me wrong. If you're King James only and you want to keep the King James and everything else like this, please, don't get me wrong. Lucifer is an accurate translation of the Hebrew word. It is. It's a synonym. Lucifer is a synonym for day star, morning star, and Venus. Literally translated, like Peter Ruckman says, and like the Net Bible does, literally translated, Hallel means shining one. The problem sets in when you start saying that if you don't translate it as Lucifer, you're setting up the world for the Antichrist's agenda. If you're going to say that, you're wrong. And also, if you're going to see the word Lucifer without the context of history that shows that Lucifer is a synonym for day star, morning star, and the planet Venus, if you're going to ignore that and say, oh no, it's just referring to Satan, then I'm sorry, you're not going to understand it like it's supposed to be understood. And you may just end up coming up with some really bizarre interpretations like Gail Riplinger invented, which, by the way, she's the first one to start accusing a lot of people of this stuff. You bad water. There we go. That's better. Not going to lose my voice on national television or whatever like Don Wilkins didn't do. So let's push this button and the other. And let's find out Lucifer. Oh yeah, because I'm advocating for altering the Godhead and stuff like this, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yes, that's what I'm really doing. That's the end game, Gail. Oh yeah, yep. Okay. So let's go to the first mention. All right. I'm not saying that you have to change the King James Bible to Lucifer. The problem is that King James only people and King James users, it's going to take a massive re-education process to get them to even think of Lucifer as being a synonym for the planet Venus, which, by the way, think about this. Ready to get your mind blown? There is no synonym for synonym. Do you ever think about that? In a modern translation, they say day star, they say morning star, because what they're talking about is the planet Venus. They're recognizing that interpretation of it, which is a historical interpretation. It doesn't have anything to do with Roman Catholicism, pagan mythology, and liberal Germans. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with the facts of history as they stand in just about everybody that's studied the subject. Except Gail Riplinger, because she hasn't actually studied the subject. So never mind. Moot point. Number 3 of the things that she has against me out of 5, that I agree with corrupt New Version words, including the omission of Lucifer from Isaiah 14:12. Just as corrupt New Versions do, replacing it with day star Jesus Christ, 2 Peter 1:19. He suggests that the King James Bible could be revised. Yeah, suggests. Go watch the videos. Oh, boy. Don't check out that playlist if you want to keep liking Gail Riplinger. I'll tell you that. He agrees with corrupt New Version words including the omission of Lucifer from the Isaiah 14:12. And replacing it with day star, which is Jesus Christ. Oh, how dare they? Oh, evil. Yeah. Just not true. And I agree with it because I've studied the issue a little bit, Gail, and it appears like you never have because you started, like I said, with the presupposition that Lucifer equals only Satan. And that screwed you up when it came to dealing with history and learning, Gail. You dogmatize upon your conspiracy theory, and then you refuse to learn anything past that. And it's sad, it's irresponsible, it's misleading, you're hurting your readership. And if you care about your readership at all, it's time for you to start facing the facts. Publicly, Gail. Publicly. Instead of just making your little PDFs and working around things and spinning your little webs and going, oh, look, see, he does this over here, he does that over there. Absolute garbage. Transparency and honesty, something that apparently over the last 30 years you've not become very good at. I'm sorry, I'm just being mean at this point, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm not. Here's where I start blaspheming and stuff. He said, oh yeah, and you don't have to believe that. He said, she said, blah, blah, blah. You guys can listen to exactly what I said in that playlist down below. And if not, you chicken. Buck, buck, buck. So, go right ahead. He said that Lucifer, Hillel, in Isaiah 14:12 is correctly translated in modern versions as day star, or the like. What? Not even a question mark. That's blasphemy! Jesus Christ is the day star! The word star is not even in the Hebrew manuscripts. Okay, that's right. The King James translators knew that. If they knew it so well, why they put, oh, day star in the margin. As a legitimate alternative translation of a hotbox legomenon, a word that appears only once in the original text. Gail. Oh boy, I just love it. Whatever. I thrive on the confrontation. What can I say? He says it's really weird how it works, the whole thing being based on her assumption about the word Lucifer, and then trying to defend her assumption being the whole basis of the book. And yeah, it is. The book, New Age Bible Versions, assumes, as do all Orthodox Christians, that Lucifer is the devil and not Jesus Christ. Oh, all Orthodox Christians think that. Well, guess what? Daystar is not a synonym for Jesus Christ, Gail. How much have you even read in your life where different stories refer to Venus as the day star or the morning star or what have you? Goodness, you think that day star means Jesus Christ only? He's referred to as the day star allegorically in the New Testament a few times, yes. But does it mean that he's the planet Venus? No. Does it mean that Satan was the planet Venus? No. I don't know. Some of you guys are still watching, so you must be entertained by this, so I'll just keep going. Assumption about the word Lucifer and then trying to defend it. Okay. Oh, as all Orthodox Christians, that Lucifer is the devil, not Jesus Christ. As Joseph and new versions allow, see my refutation in chapter 2, Gail Riplinger, New Age Bible Versions. So you follow that link, it'll take you right to where you can buy your very own copy. I used to think that all of the people that said Gail Riplinger's book, New Age Bible Versions, was the most error-filled book in all the history that they know about. I used to think that they were overstating the case, that they were part of a conspiracy to cover up what she was exposing. But now that I've looked into Hermas and Barnabas and Lucifer in the context of New Age Bible Versions to see if what she said was so, I have found out that they were saying exactly the state as it exactly is. And it's sad. I believed this lady for over a decade. I based a lot of what I said online around her. I based a lot of how I acted in the church I grew up in around what she claimed. I've based where we've gone to, like as far as a church, our entire married life, based around things that she said. And I just found out this past year that most of the things she said weren't even close to accurate. Even though she's supposed to be a phenomenal scholar who wrote this amazing, this huge, grossly enormous book. Oh, one of the greatest books I've ever read. The greatest book I've ever read. Tex Mars. Oh, this amazing book. Charles Lawson. All these people recommending it. I bet you they've never verified a word she said. And a lot of people tell me also, Joseph, just lay off. Joseph, enough is enough. Joseph, stop talking about it. Joseph, don't do it anymore. Maybe you don't realize what's being done here. She is literally telling you that everything out there except the King James Bible wants to send you to the Antichrist to receive the mark of the beast. Do you have any idea how isolated that makes you feel? How paranoid that makes you feel? I know. I felt that way for a long, long time. And I'm glad that I found out that she was lying because a friend of mine challenged me to verify what she said about Hermas and Barnabas. Thank you for staying up with me this late. My goodness, it's 11:30 in this time zone. 3 more references to here. Let's see. The new versions blasphemously switched the fall of Lucifer, Isaiah 14:12, to the fall of the day star, which is Jesus Christ, apparently. Prove it. And then she mentions Luciferianism a couple of times. And then there's the one thing that I said about Lucifer, very truncated. And by the way, there was a lot of things that I showed in those 3 streams, which are called Bewitched by Gail Riplinger. They're in the playlist. Check them out. I forget which numbers they are. I want to say they're 18, 20, and 21 of our podcast episodes. This one's number 39, I believe, the one we're in right now. And there was a lot of things that I said in there that refuted and showed that what she said was absolutely not true. And guess what she doesn't discuss, and guess what she leaves out in her stupid little transcript that she made, probably in Premiere Pro. She leaves all that information out. Typical Gail Riplinger fashion. If it doesn't support me, it doesn't support the King James Bible. If it doesn't support the King James Bible, it's an evil, wicked lie. That's her course of logic. It's irresponsible, and everybody needs to know about it. At least everybody's affected by Gail Riplinger. People that go, who are Gail Riplinger? Who's Gail Riplinger? Just be like, okay, you don't even want to know. But if you have somebody that likes her stuff in your life, then maybe you'll find some of the stuff useful. But I'll tell you what, 5 years ago, I would have written all this stuff off. I wouldn't have listened to a word that I have to say right now. 5 years ago, it took me having to look into her claims myself because I wanted to have accurate information on my channel. And I wanted to verify what she said. And that purpose motivated me to look into her claims. And I wasn't impressed by the lies that I found were in there. Let's see, and there's this one too. I don't know if this one has anything in it about Lucifer. Actually, it do. This one's written by Bryn. Oh yeah, she tries to say that, let's see, ever-loving deficient, okay, let's see. Yeah, about the virgin stuff from Hermas. Let's see. Bye-bye infallibility, friends, and Lucifer. Changing views. Joseph, are your views changing? Are you a traitor, Joseph? Yeah. Guess so. Oh, by the way, that's what I sent her. Typo riddled. That's the message that I had to send her, letting her know that her was terminated from the co-conspiracy because of mishandling her privileges. There we go. That's the right button. You have declined somewhat from all three, having defended the omission of Lucifer, the views of Westcott and Hort, and the deadly manuscripts. The deadly Sinaiticus manuscripts, Shepherd of Hermas, as well as some new version renderings. You are declining, Joseph. How dare you? You suggested that the KJV translators are inferring that Daystar or the equivalent were the same as the name Lucifer. Oh, okay. Did you ever look at George Abbott or Lancelot Andrews where they said that Lucifer is the morning star? To quote Lucifer, comma, morning star, which is, used in the sentence there for Lancelot Andrews. And George Abbott, who said that, to some, Lucifer is the morning star, referring to, a Roman Catholic. Gotcha, Joseph. Sorry. It just doesn't work like that. You can't just keep running back to the Roman Catholic thing and saying, oh, look, evil. He's not taking an issue with it. And King James himself recognized it. Turns out Bryn never read the demonology, or at least she skipped over that part. Oh, he was just a man. He wasn't infallible. My Bible's infallible. Got it. The latter cannot be omitted from the Bible, as you seem to allow, just because the translator's marginal note, which simply represented the current culture's usage taken from Roman mythology. The translators did not put it in the text because they knew that the Hebrew word for star was not there, nor is the word for morning or dawn there. Twice, anyways. As seen in most modern versions, the Bible's Old Testament is a translation of the Hebrew in general. The word day star and morning star are not a translation. Modern versions say, O morning star, son of the dawn, to O star of the morning, son of the dawn, 3, O day star, son of the dawn, that'd be ESV, and shining morning star, etc. She's the language expert here. I am not the language expert, by the way. I'm not. But she's coming down to talk to me out of heaven, out of the many tasks that she has to do for the Lord, and she makes this 16-page PDF. The NIV, ESV, NASB give an English translation as if the Hebrew word said, Shakar, Koka, Ben Shakar. I've heard her say that a million times, Gail, anyway. Or morning star, or day star, son of the morning or dawn. Yet the word for star, Kokab, appears nowhere in the text. Well, guess what? You already know, Gail, that from language to language, you don't need to have every single word in order to translate something a certain way. You don't. And if you don't admit that, you are dishonest. And we've already talked about day star being an equivalent to Venus and Lucifer, so we don't have to talk about that again. For instance, the thieves on the cross on either side of Christ cast the same in his teeth. The Greek word there is they reviled him. It's a single word. There is no cast, there is no the same, there is no teeth, there is no nothing. It simply means that they reviled him. And an English equivalent in 1611, and one that read very well, and one that was understood, was what they put in there. And it's an accurate translation of a single Greek word. If I'm not mistaken, it's a single word. Yet the word for star CoCap appears nowhere in the text. Bold text. In spite of its use in the HCSB and all new versions. Single out the HCSB, I don't know why. Also, morning, day, or dawn appears only once, as the KJV shows, not twice as modern versions include. The word CoCab is translated star dozens of times in the NIV translators. Morning star is likewise used hundreds of times. Modern version editors know blah 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 is morning star, since it is used in Job 38:7. That is correct, if I'm not mistaken. If God had intended to communicate morning star, he would have had repeated it here. Oh, indeed. Appears nowhere in the Old Testament, just as Lucifer appears nowhere else. It does if you have an old Latin Bible, I'll bet you. The only historically and linguistically accepted translation is the one the King James translators placed in the text. O Lucifer, son of the morning. A linguistic analysis of Hillel appears in other books, in other Riplinger books, connecting it to hell and the burning sun Helios, among other similar words. Oh, that's hilarious, because there may be a slight connection there. Some commentators allow for that. Shining or shouting, yell and hell, and Helios with the connection with the sun and the morning and all that other stuff. I get it. But the thing is, Bryn, because you're the one that wrote this, Bryn Riplinger Shutt, Gail's daughter. Put all of my disrespectful tone aside and everything else like this. It turns out that according to history, Bible commentators, Bible footnotes, actual linguists, not your mom, and everybody else, the Riplinger clan and AV Publications doesn't have a sniff of a clue what they're talking about. And it's time they admitted it. And yeah, I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm a graphic designer and I work at a hardware store, but that just shows how easy it is to show that you guys are dead wrong and that you're causing undue suspicion and unwarranted hatred between Christians, and that is a cardinal sin, an actual sin, Gail Riplinger. You say, oh, blasphemy, this and that and the other thing. Well, guess what? Bearing false witness against your neighbor, sowing discord among brethren, lying, all these things are actual sins. Oh yeah, and Tino Gropey, I think your name is, justifying Gail Riplinger's lies because somebody was a liberal. Oh, well, she said, Metzger was a liberal, and why are you defending a liberal when she, and it's like, well, guess what? She might have lied about a liberal, but she still lied. People like Tino are defending actual sin, like legit hard actual sin, and that's what lying is. So that's that. Not saying I've never lied before in my life, duh. But this lie, Gail, the lies that you told in your books are affecting a lot of people. But happy Valentine's Day. Oh, let's see. We're going to look into... let's see. I'm probably going to take this down for now. We're going to look at y'all's comments real quick. Alrighty. So the 6 of you have stayed around. I love it. Let's see. Hi, Joseph. Do you think... and this is from Martino. Hi, Joseph. Do you think Son of Righteousness refers to Jesus, Malachi 4:2? It would seem so. But unto you that fear his name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up. I believe grow up as cattle of the stall. I believe that that's what it's pointing to. Let's see. Which, of course, it may not be the literal, the actual meaning that's being taken there. I mean, I see it as a messianic prophecy. It may be a prophecy for something else, kind of like, Herschel Hashbaz was a primary fulfillment, and then kind of a secondary as well. So yeah, I would pretty much see that as a messianic prophecy, which is I think what you're asking. But like we're saying, you know, we're leaving room for double fulfillment prophecy, kind of like with Satan, in Isaiah 14:12. All right. Come on, computer. That's not gonna work. Show. I'll wait. Let's see. Why does the KJV have devils but not demons? To my understanding, demons had a different connotation back then. Devil was pretty clearly understood. The idea of devil may also be slightly misunderstood from Roman Catholic traditions and stuff like this, of them being fallen angels. The word demon more aligns with you know, probably more so with the Book of Enoch and the giants, and them being disembodied spirits of the giants, possibly. It seems like that's kind of a thing. So would I have a preference for one translation over the other of you know, out of the two? I'm not sure that I could really speak to that. I haven't looked into it. All right, so we're going to look at the word knavery. Comes from the old-fashioned word knave, yes, which means rascal, rogue. Shakespeare was known for using knave as an insult. That's correct. So, yeah, when King James referred to the knavery of Satan, his rascaliness, that wascally fallen angel. Next, ironically, it's called demonology in KJV, which doesn't have demons, only devils. Mandela effect. Dude, the Mandela effect has nothing to do with anything. From what I've seen, there is no evidence for the Mandela effect. Let me say that. The demonology, the reason why it says demonology in that case is because the study of devils has always been called demonology, which is why it's called the demonology of King James. And I'm not sure if the actual book contains the word demons or not. It may only have devils. So it doesn't have anything to do with the Mandela effect. It has to do with terms of study and how they're used. So demonology, it would come from, I believe, the Greek word. I forget what the Greek word is for demon. It sounds pretty much like demon, though. Daemon or something, I forget. There's my wife saying hello. Martino again. The word Venus comes from the Proto-Indo-European word something host, which means desire, which would make sense because Venus is supposed to be the goddess of lust or what have you. The name has been used in many cultures in artistic expressions. Yes, that's also true. The thing with Venus as well, she was an actual person. We should get into the what's that book called? The Travels of Noah in Europe. We should get into that at some point. Joseph, did you look into the Vatican using Lucifer's name in some of their ceremonies? I did not, but to my knowledge, from what I've seen, and I think from what somebody said last time, it's when they refer to Christ as being the light of the world, basically. Hey, check out Menno Simon's book. Okay, why? The Mennonite guy, anyways. Menno Simon's The Anabaptist is a book where he spoke, tells how he spoke to Martin Luther, and Luther had his own opinion about infant baptism, the truth of the Christians. Yeah, that's true. And also Martin Luther translated Hallel as Morning Star. Bryn Riplinger. Shut. And Catholics in... Okay, I'm not sure why you're recommending that. When I search Gail Riplinger on YouTube, the top results are 9 years, 5 years, and 3 years old. Yes. She is not very topical or relevant to current studies, is she? No. Gail Riplinger is considered pretty much irrelevant by everybody except a very narrow cross-section of King James onlyism that thinks that she's the cat's meow. Thanks for the compliments on the music. Marlene says, hey, Joseph, from Canada. Hello. Let's see. I can't even find a channel for Gail on YouTube. Did she retire or was she banned? To my knowledge, Gail Riplinger has never had a YouTube channel. There was an AV Publications YouTube channel, which is probably still up. It had a few videos by her son, Stephen, or son-in-law, Stephen, and they had some stuff on there, but, you know, I don't think they ever really posted any of her longer form content. That's all pretty much stuff that's come up, you know, by other people posting her stuff. And the last comment, I've got to go help with a poor, sad little boy. After Lucifer, you should do a word study on Lilith, the Screech Owl, and Satyr. Yes, those would be very interesting subjects. I'm not sure if what I have going on right now would be more important, but that would be fascinating to do word studies on those, the hairy goat and the Screech Owl. All right, I probably better get out of here. Like I said, there's plenty of links down in the description for you guys to check out. And yeah, I'll keep you guys posted as far as other things that come down the pike. Let's see. And we showed the Lucifer. Oh, yeah, that's right. The Lucifer page. The password for the Lucifer page, if you want to check it out, is all one word with a dash. The capital letter O, or O, day, dash, STARRE. So the original spelling of that note in, in the King James 1611. So it's going to look like this. This is your password for BibleVersionConspiracy.com/Lucifer. ORO-day-STARRE. So yeah, if you want to check out the page, we're going to keep adding to it and building it as we go. You guys can keep tabs on it that way. And if you want to check it out and look at things in greater detail, feel free, pop by. There's enough for you to look at right now. There's nothing to drink in there. My mouth is getting dry. The poor little kid that needs my help. He woke up and he is not happy. So we're going to end right there. And yeah. Read your Bible like the devil's after it. Because there truly is a Bible version conspiracy. And it's closer to home than we think. Why no super chat option? Thank you for considering giving us a super chat. I appreciate that. The reason why is because I haven't reached 1,000 subscribers yet. So if you want to help us reach that goal, share our videos, and maybe more people will unsubscribe and more will subscribe. So that'll be fun. But if you wanna leave us anything, head on over to buymeacoffee.com/Joseph Armstrong, and also check out the Join Our Mission page on our website. It gives you a lot of options there where you don't have to spend a dime and you can help us out. And other ways you can customize a donation or what have you. If you want to, go right ahead. I appreciate it. Have a good night. We'll talk soon.